Hey guys, welcome back to sgCarMart Reviews. Again, we're doing this because of the circuit breaker, and we're doing a talk show format style video just to keep you guys entertained. And today we have with us Idris and James joining me. We're going to talk about where does your car, or rather where your car is made. Does it matter or does it not matter?
Like whether it matters to buyers.
Yeah, whether or not it matters to buyers. That's right, James. That's right. Yeah. So, Idris, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, I mean the car which is the most popular, which everyone knows that is not built in its home country. I think it's the Altis, right? The Corolla Altis. I think, but to be honest, does it really make a difference? I think the car is still very reliable. It's well packaged, so I don't think it really bothers me that the car is built in another country because it's going to be cheaper also when it comes to Singapore, right? So that's, to me, that's I have no issues with that actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. James, what do you think, man?
I mean, for me, I honestly think that buyers won't care where the car was manufactured. Because, like, okay, think about it. Do people care that the Volvo XC60 is made in China? No. Does it matter that cars like the Mercedes C160 that we reviewed last week is made in South Africa? No. And yeah, so if we talk about Japanese cars, the Honda Civic, the Toyota Altis, they're both made in Thailand. But I don't think anyone really cares. Because when you buy a car, right, you go through like a short list of cars, right?
Yeah.
So you list those cars, and then you have a selection criteria. So your selection criteria can be stuff like normally like, oh, how does the car look? Whether it's a sedan, SUV, or hatchback. The price, obviously, fuel economy, road tax, UE category. But very rarely do I hear like people say, "Oh, I'm considering where the car was made." You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you got a point. I guess you got a point. Okay, because to me personally, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it could be made in Thailand for all I care. I think what's important is when it comes to Singapore, how good the quality of the car is.
Yeah.
But it does show. I mean, there are some cars that were made in Japan. Okay, let's just say the Toyota Sienta, for instance, right? The PI brought in the Japanese-made model, while the authorized dealer Borneo Motors brought in the Thailand-made variant.
I think it's made in Indonesia, if I remember
Was it
correctly.
Indonesia? Was it
Yeah, I
Indonesia?
think it's
Yeah.
Indonesia
So
or Thailand. Can't
the
remember. Yeah.
I thought it was Thailand. So I mean, whichever the case, I think the quality was quite. The quality and the specs were quite different. Obviously, the Japanese one was a lot better. So that's sort of the two sides to the story. But for me personally, I think it really doesn't matter whether or not the car is built in Thailand or Mexico or Germany, so on and so forth. I think when it comes to Singapore, what's more important is whether or not the car works well for us.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree. And like, I think when you buy a car, right, you're buying into the brand. You're not really buying. Okay, because buying a car is, to me, like, it's 10% logic, 90% emotion,
Okay.
right? Because logically, based on the crazy price of cars in Singapore, like, if you're a logical person, you would just take public transport because public transport is always cheaper, right?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, definitely, yeah.
So
Yeah.
people buy cars like, okay, so they say like, oh, because it feels, this X car feels great to drive in, for example, because I just got my bonus and I feel like I deserve a reward. So feelings equate to emotions, right?
Well, that's a good point, I guess.
Yeah. And car companies, they know that. That's why they spend millions of dollars on marketing and advertising to promote certain values about their models of cars. And people buy into that. Like, say, for example, an Altis. People buy the Altis because it's a reliable brand. Toyota is a reliable brand, right? Like, it
Yeah.
could be made in North Korea, right? But people will still buy it because Toyota is a reliable brand.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do agree.
I mean,
I do
Toyota
agree.
sold a lot of Sientas anyway, right?
Yeah, I think there's a large proportion of parallel imported Sientas also.
Mhm.
Yes,
But
I think about.
authorized dealers wise, I mean, the non-Japanese spec I think a lot of the Borneo actually sold a lot of Sientas.
Yeah, I think it's one of the cheapest MPVs at the time. I don't know if it is
With
now.
electric sliding doors, of course.
So I think it made sense at the time to buy that car, and that comes to the other point, because it's not built in Japan. I think a lot of cost savings are available, so these cars become more affordable, and it makes more sense to people when they buy the cars. And you have the support of Borneo Motors, so that's another added bonus if anything goes wrong. So
But
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. There are some cars that are made from different countries, right? But they offer different things. Is that correct?
What do you mean by that?
Like different say like accessories, inbuilt accessories and stuff like functions and
Yeah.
gadgets and stuff.
Yeah, that I think that was very true for the earlier models of the Vezel versus the HRV also. I think the ones that were available in Singapore at that time didn't come with LED headlamps and didn't come with all your Honda sensing and all those driver assistance features, whereas the ones that came from Japan actually have. But I think sort of like the HRVs have sort of kept up with that. But I'm not sure if the HRV is built in Japan or not. But yeah, that's one thing lah.
So only then, if there are like differences in the cars that you are getting from different countries, then I think people might consider country of origin.
Yes,
right?
that is right. Yeah. I think the one interesting thing about the Altis, I think if you guys remember, a couple of generations ago, there was the Axio, right? The Corolla Axio, which came from Parallel Importers.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
I mean, they look a bit different, but essentially they're the same thing. They're both Corollas. One is built in Japan, and the other one is built in Thailand, which is the Borneo Motors one, the Altis.
Yep.
But they're pretty much the same car in terms of spec. And I think the Axio, if you want it cheaper, then it doesn't even come with a rev counter, I think. And you do have the option of a manual transmission. But the numbers kind of show people still buy the Altis, even though it's built in Thailand.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same kind of spec. And I don't think anyone has really mentioned whether the quality between the two cars are vastly different. I've sat in both, driven both. I can't really tell, really. You mentioned that Volvo has cars built in China. I think the S90, right, is built in China. But interestingly enough, Volvo used to build cars in Singapore. I think in the early 80s, I think, or late 70s. They made the Volvo 244. Yeah. Yeah, that was a very interesting time. And I think the differences between price, like you compare to like comparable cars like the 5 or 7 Series at the time versus a Volvo 244, I think the price difference was quite significant. I think it was maybe
Very, I
20,000
think it
yeah.
Was it more expensive in Singapore?
It was cheaper. The car was way cheaper when it was built in Singapore. And people actually bought it. People didn't really bother about the fact that it was built in Singapore.
Patriots bought it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about manufacturing and blue collar working and all that kind of stuff in the 70s and 80s. So that was but that was a very different time. And I think people also have that in the back of their heads. They are sort of used to cars being built elsewhere, even back then. That when car brands like Honda and Toyota sort of got into the game in the 90s with the Honda City and the Toyota Soluna, I think most people were really comfortable with that fact that these cars were built not from their country of origin. And
okay, so the ultimate question that people want to know is, should they worry whether about the country of origin of the car? I mean, like the country of manufacturing of the car.
I think most of the time they shouldn't. When I say most of the time, it's because I still feel that the Toyota Sienta was a one-off. It doesn't happen very often. When it does, it's a very
a one-off. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like a one-off thing. I mean, like we actually felt how different the Sienta was from AD and from PI, because the PI was Japan spec. It was significantly significantly different. Specs are very different. I thought that was a one-off, because I mean, like you brought up, the Altis and the Exio, actually you can't really tell difference in terms of quality or spec actually.
Yeah, Idris was
Yeah, so
mentioning.
I don't think there's I don't think there's really anything much to worry about. I feel that there's really nothing to worry about. It's all, I mean, truth be told, I don't know if this is the right word to use, but it's very psychological, I feel. I feel it's just psychological. You don't have to worry much about it. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So don't worry. Just do whatever you've been
Be happy.
doing, man. There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
honestly you
I also think you
shouldn't
shouldn't worry.
you shouldn't worry. The whole, I mean, if you're buying a car, of course the general things to check on is going to be the same. So
Yeah,
if there are issues with a car built in another country or built in its home country, really is just probably just general
Cost saving.
maintenance issues and
All
all that
right.
kind of stuff. It's not, yeah, it's not going to be it's a big issue. I think it's better that it's built in another country, might be, because most likely it'll be cheaper, which is
so
good.
like you see cars like the Golf, it's built in Germany, right?
The Golf, if I'm not wrong, the 1.4 and the non-GTIs and the non-Rs are built in South Africa, if I'm
South
wrong,
Africa.
Mexico, if I might be wrong. I'm the Volkswagen guy here, so
Yeah.
I should know this better. But the GTI and the R, I think they're built in Germany. They are built in Germany, yeah. There are
Are
some.
those the ones that have gearbox problems?
The thing is about the gearbox problems is that
Mm.
if it was that gearbox that was built in Germany also
Yeah.
is going to have the problems anyway, because
Mm.
in design already is an issue. So that's yeah, but that's just Volkswagen really and the group. It's not
Yeah,
really
but
where
that's
it's built.
a good example of
Yeah,
a car that's manufactured in its origin country but still has problems and people know about it and they won't get it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So if the better gearbox is built over in another country, it probably won't have any of those kind of problems.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the group also builds cars in Spain and
Mm.
and a few other countries, I think. And the better gearbox, the DQ250, I mean, those don't give problems. So
Mm.
even if it's built in another country, it's not going to give any problems. So yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, so there you have it. And like every other week, we are gonna go through some reviews and some comments. Sorry, and these comments are from the BMW 1 Series review that we did a couple of weeks back. So Joker778 says, how would you compare between Golf 1.4 versus the 118i 1.5 in terms of power and torque? Thanks.
Oh,
Idris?
okay. I actually prefer the power and torque of the Golf 1.4. I think it's a bit more responsive. I don't know, the gearbox seems more responsive.
Mhm.
So that translates to more power and more torque, I think. Yeah, the 118 feels a little bit heavier, it doesn't feel as responsive. And yeah, even though the numbers might be different in terms of the performance figures might be different. The Golf seems to be lighter on its feet, but they are two different cars in two different categories. So
Mm.
yeah, that's one thing. What do you think, Julian?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I'm not saying it's a wrong comparison, but it's inaccurate because they are two completely different cars.
Yes.
But yes, I will also have to agree with you. Actually, I like the responsiveness in the Golf. Um, it's a lot punchier actually in real world driving, and I think
Yes.
you get better fuel economy as well naturally.
Yeah.
However, I think when it comes to handling, certainly the 118 trumps everything. I think the 118 handling would be the best in its class.
Yeah, I think so too. The 118 does know how to handle some corners if you throw
Yes,
them at it. Quite
yes,
quite
yes.
surprising actually.
But
Yeah.
however, it does feel significantly heavier. So I think that kind of uh, uh, helps or hinders depending on situation with the handling of the car.
Yeah.
But if I had
That's
to choose, I think I'll actually go for the Golf actually.
yeah.
I think
So
it'll be a lot easier to maintain as well.
yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
So Golf for the win.
Oh, okay. So next
Yeah.
comment is by Get Up That. Okay, so Idris was spot on. This Beamer drives better than the A class. A Mercedes has a better looking interior.
Yes.
Discuss.
Discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, to me, yes. I think if you talk about the drivetrain, the powertrain rather, of the 1 Series versus the A-Class or the CLA, and that whole compact range from Mercedes, I think BMW has done a very good job, especially because they have shifted the platform to front-wheel drive, but the car still drives pretty much like a BMW in terms of responsiveness and all that kind of stuff. The steering weight is nice. In fact, it feels like a longer wheelbase Mini. After all, they are on the same platform, so it feels less sketchy in the corners compared to like the Mini Coopers. And I do think if you want a driver's car for that range in the premium compact category, the BMWs are the one to go for, especially
but the interior of the Mercedes, to me, it feels a bit cluttered sometimes. Like there's a lot going on, you know.
Yeah. I agree. It's a bit busy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you open the door and it's quite beautiful. But I mean,
when you sit in it, it's suddenly like a bit overwhelmed. Like, whoa, what do I do?
Yeah,
and what do I touch?
And it looks really good. It does very well in first impressions, I feel. But in terms of usability for the next few years, I feel the 1 Series are better. And to be honest, I feel that, you know, you don't need a visually pleasing interior for it to feel like and look expensive. I think buttons that are put in the right places that feel good to the touch and all that works much better than just having like a huge, you know, widescreen display. I mean, to each his own. That's just my preference.
I
really.
guess.
Julian, any comments?
Actually, in terms of looks, I think Mercedes, the A-Class is probably the best in its class. In terms of looks, design, in and out, I think Mercedes got it spot on. I always felt that it was unfortunate that Lexus doesn't have a compact hatch to match this class, to be in this class, because I thought that they would probably outdo everyone else in terms of quality and in terms of looks, with a spindle grille and nil, right? Yeah, but I always thought that it was it's a tragic way to escape. But then again, I digress. Between the BMW and the A-Class, I think the A-Class is definitely better looking. But drive, I think we can all agree that BMW is certainly better.
Yes, and to add also, I mean, but honestly, these cars are really about, you know, getting around in comfort. It's not really about, you know, going through corners every single day of the week. I mean, if you really wanted that, you would have bought like a Golf GTI or you know, performance hatchback. So I mean, then again, our views may not relate to the buyers out there. I mean, the A-Class definitely, I think, is a very good looking car for what it is.
Okay, so I think we have time for one last comment. Let's do a good one. Okay, so Lemuel Wong says, "Yay! At least my work from home ain't boring. Have been rewatching past reviews. Stay safe, sgCM team." Oh, this is Lemuel Wong, nice guy.
Yes, these are the comments we need.
Thanks for watching once again, everyone, and stay healthy, stay safe. Till next time.
Till next time.
Don't forget to wear masks when you go out. Till next time.
Oh yeah, about that. Yeah. Ciao.
Ciao.